defining and measuring crime. Forensic psychology applies psychological principles to the legal system. It includes studying why people commit offenses, how criminal behavior develops, and how offenders can be identified and interviewed. It also covers the collection of evidence from witnesses and victims, as well as the processes used to determine who committed a crime and how serious it is. What counts as a crime? A crime is any behavior or action that breaks the law and is punishable by the state. This definition means that crime is not simply about whether something is morally wrong but whether it violates a legal rule. Although this appears straightforward, defining crime is not always simple because laws differ between cultures and change over time. What one country regards as criminal, another may view as acceptable. For example, attitudes to certain behaviors have shifted significantly across history. Homosexuality remained illegal in the UK until 1967, yet it is still criminalized in some countries today. Theft has also been treated differently across cultures. In 17th century Britain, stealing a sheep could be punished by death, whereas the same act today would carry a far lesser sentence. Despite these variations, categories of crime such as murder, theft, and robbery are recognized in most societies. However, cultural differences influence how these acts are interpreted. In France, the notion of crime passionnel, a murder committed under intense emotional strain, traditionally received greater sympathy in court. The influence of culture, whether something is labeled a crime, often reflects the values and power structures of the society in which the law was created. Scholars argue that certain groups, particularly those who hold political or economic influence, shape how criminal behavior is defined. As a result, areas of criminology may focus more heavily on typical street crimes committed by vulnerable groups, while large-scale corporate or governmental wrongdoing receives less attention. Crime passionnel. The case of Marie Beer, rewritten. The French legal concept of crime passionnel suggests that a murder committed during overwhelming emotional turmoil may attract a lighter sentence. The idea is that the offender acted under a sudden loss of control. A similar principle exists in some legal systems that recognize adequate provocation, where intense feelings, such as jealousy or anger, may reduce a murder charge to manslaughter if the emotional response is judged reasonable. A famous early example in France involved Marie Beer, a young singer who appealed to the public's emotions after killing a man she believed had deceived her. Marie had lived with her lover, Jean Tien, who later abandoned her and pursued another woman. Beer interpreted this as betrayal and believed he intended to marry her. Witnesses described her as devastated and deeply attached to him. One afternoon, while Jean Tien walked with his new partner, Beer confronted them with 2 pistols. Jean Tien was seriously injured, though the mistress escaped unharmed. Beer immediately admitted what she had done. Her trial in 1880 attracted huge attention, with newspapers presenting her as fragile, betrayed, and emotionally overwhelmed. A psychiatrist supported this portrayal, explaining that Beer's mental state had been dominated by overpowering emotions that affected her ability to think rationally. The jury accepted this interpretation, deciding that the killing was driven by extreme emotional distress rather than premeditated intent. Marie Beer was found not guilty of murder because her behavior constituted a crime passionnel.